konnichiwa. Dr. Braces here. Welcome back. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today we're going to talk about how to choose the right orthodontist for you. There's kind of like three options when it comes to orthodontics. Number one would be a general dentist practicing orthodontics. They haven't gone to the extra, 2 to 3 years of schooling that an orthodontist has, so they don't have that specialty license. So that would be the first option that's out there for you. Number two would be an orthodontist, which an orthodontist has basically gone, they've completed dental school, and then they've gone to an additional 2 to 3 years of a residency program to get trained to specialize in orthodontics. And then the third option, and the highest option, would be a board certified orthodontist. So that's an orthodontist who finished a residency, but then went on to get board certified, meaning they went and they did some sort of peer review where you pass a test to prove that you are qualified and that you are knowledgeable and that the board is confident in certifying you. So those are kind of the three options. And so the goal is to just find the right doctor for you that's going to take care of you and give you the best possible, not only smile, but experience. And that part's important because it truly is a journey. Anytime you jump into orthodontics, whether you're doing braces or Invisalign, you're gonna spend a lot of time in that office. And so you wanna make sure it's somewhere where you feel comfortable, you feel safe, you feel like it's the right environment for you. When looking for an orthodontist, I feel like the best thing to do is look for someone who, is going to personalize your treatment, and they don't just have like a set way of doing things. The best example I can give you is someone with an overbite. The proper term is overjet, but a lot of the times the public calls that an overbite. That's where the top teeth stick out in front of the bottom teeth, right? Now there's a lot of different things that can cause that. For example, it could just be severe spacing. It could be that the tongue is pushing on those teeth too hard and causing the front incisors to flare. It could be that the lower jaw is underdeveloped and not growing as rapid or as strong as the upper jaw. So the lower jaw is too small compared to the upper. You should treat all three of those situations very differently. But if you're doing them the same way, just because that's how you fix an overbite, that's really not a good way to do orthodontics, right?
You get a box. You get a box.
You want to cater that case to each individual. So for me, that's something that's very important. Make sure that the orthodontist is catering specifically to your needs and to your specific case, and not just doing the same thing to fix a different, the same solution to different problems, right? You want to make sure it's catered to you. Treatment options is also one that's pretty important. Do they offer Invisalign? Do they offer braces? Do they offer clear braces? Do they provide you with those options, and do they tell you what's going to be best for you, or what they would at least recommend in your case? Technology. So if you go into an office and they're still using film radiographs and it just feels kind of old school, you want someone that's up to date with technology, because the technology that we use, for example, iCat imaging, 3D scanners, other softwares where we can evaluate your bite and things like that as we go. Those are all very important tools that kind of make your journey more modern, more efficient, makes things go a little bit faster, and gives you a better result. Bedside manner. Is this a person that's being kind? They're polite. They don't treat you like a number. They treat you like someone that matters, that's important to them.
I get bonus points if I act like I care.
That's pretty critical in choosing the orthodontist. And in other words, just, are you comfortable with that orthodontist? When you sit down in their chair next to them, do you feel like they're going to listen to you? They're going to be a part of this journey with you. How do they respond to you when you ask questions and things like that? If you go into a consult and you feel like the orthodontist doesn't have time for you in that consult, they're probably never going to have time for you during that whole process. So make sure you find someone that you're compatible with, that works for you. How well do they communicate with you? Do they say, are they in the consult, are they showing you that they're going to be communicative and showing you things that make sense, that they're going to be talking to you throughout the process? How well do they communicate with your dentist? Sometimes the orthodontist and the dentist need to communicate to get the treatment done right. And so are they going to be able to communicate with your dentist? And again, I think I've talked about this, but do they sound confident? That's also very important. If they sound unsure of themselves, they probably are. So you want to find an orthodontist that for sure has the confidence to deliver on the smile that you want to achieve. Convenience and accessibility. Sometimes I have patients, for example, that will come see me from 45 minutes away to an hour away, because they feel like we're worth the drive. But when it comes to an orthodontist, Unlike the dentist where you're just going every 6 months, you're gonna go see the orthodontist. If it's a braces case, usually every 6 to 8 weeks. If it's Invisalign, depending on the doctor, anywhere from every 8 to 15 weeks. And so you're gonna be going to that office a lot more during that treatment. And so you wanna make sure it's convenient to you, whether it's close to your job or your kid's school or what that is. You wanna, if as much as you can, have that be somewhat convenient so it's not a task on you. But if you find someone you love that you think is worth the drive and you're willing to make that commute, then absolutely stick with that person. Another big one is whether or not they take your insurance. And so insurance is kind of a pain. That's, I think, every doctor's least favorite thing to deal with is insurances. So not every orthodontist is going to take every insurance. There's PPO insurances. Usually you can pick your provider with a PPO. If you have an HMO insurance, that's one where usually you have to go to someone in network, and your insurance should have a list for you there that tells you which doctors are in network in that situation. Flexible payment plan. So that's one that majority of orthodontist offices will have some sort of financing option where you don't have to pay it all up front in full. They'll set up a monthly payment plan that will go during the course of your treatment to make it more cost effective and affordable. And so flexible financing is probably one that's going to be really important as well when searching for an orthodontist. Patient reviews and testimonials. So that one's really important. A lot of offices are going to have Google reviews. You can take a look at those and see if they have a lot of 5-star reviews, how many 1-star reviews. And the main thing on those is, if they have 600 5-star reviews and 5 1-star reviews, those 1-star reviews are probably outliers of patients that, for whatever reason, in my opinion, would not be happy anywhere they went. But the main thing to ask when it comes to referrals is, if you're in your dental office and you say, hey, my kid needs an orthodontist, what I would ask that dentist is, where do you take your kids? Or if you had kids, where would you take them? Who would you take them to go see? Because that's really probably the best, source of information for you is the dentist. They can give you who they would go to, and that kind of tells you right there, this is a good option for me, because they see orthodontists, they see their work basically, and so they know who's good and who they trust, and so that screams volumes. Who do your friends go to? Who does your family go to? Are they happy with those doctors? If they give very positive reviews, then that's a great place to start. And so I always like to start with someone that's been recommended either by another dentist or a friend or family. I think that's a great place to start when looking for an orthodontist. Once you get into that consultation, are they confident and competent, right? So does it look like they know what they're doing? They can produce on the things they're promising. Number 2, is the office organized? When you get there and you're sitting in the waiting room, if it looks like the office runs efficient and smoothly and that they're gonna take care of you and they value your time as much as you value theirs, that's something that's very important to consider. And then we've talked about this, but are you comfortable with that doctor? Do they make you feel relaxed, at ease? Anytime a child or even an adult goes into a new office building with a new doctor, it can be a little bit nerve-wracking, but by the time you leave that appointment, that first consult, do you feel comfortable? Do you feel like that's a person that you could, coexist with? That's the most important things in my opinion. And then finally, when it comes to orthodontics, it's not something that you want to go cheap on. This is your mouth, right? This is a part of your body. It's important that you're not shopping for the lowest priced option in something like this, right? You want to have someone that does it right. And one of my treatment coordinators that used to work for me would say to patients, do it right the first time. Because too many times we see people that they go somewhere else because it maybe costs a little bit less. And then they come back to us to fix it. And so do it right the first time, because there's things that we do that are irreversible that you can't go back on. And so again, you just want to make sure that you're looking for, the best option who's going to deliver you the best results and do it the most efficiently, value you, value your time, and take good care of you. And if if that costs a little bit more, then in my opinion, it's worth it. Now, when it comes to cost, I know that's a lot of the times that's the driving factor, right? And so my point was, it's important to make sure you pick the right orthodontist. If you have an orthodontist that maybe costs a little bit more than likely they're going to be able to offer you good financing options that you're comfortable with, that still works within your budget and yield you a fantastic result. So I don't want to minimize the fact that, cost is the driving factor in most decisions, but I do want to make the point that when it comes to comparing two offices and the price points, there's a reason usually why one charges more and one charges less, and that's going to be the quality. And so again, if the other offices will make a way, the more expensive office, and more times than not, they're going to make a way to make it work for you so that you can be seen at that practice. Now, if you go into an office and one charges more and one charges less, and you feel equally good about both of those practices, by all means, pick the one that you feel like is the best for you. But again, just that I wanted to make that point with cost, because we do see that sometimes where people vie for maybe a lower overall cost and treatment, but they end up unhappy with the result. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, if you want to know what are the different types of braces that are out there and what do orthodontists use, so if you're interested in that video, click on the link. Just remember, smiles change lives, so keep smiling.